are halfway through Copa America group stage games. There's lots to talk about. We have good results for some teams. We have controversies other places. And for the drama, we have Jamaica here. So, hi JD, how are you doing? How are
Oh
you enjoying
God,
the
for the
time?
drama you have
Um,
Jamaica here.
for the apparently,
Normally, I know that people would have fought with you, but definitely they will actually agree at this point because you have a lot of
mm,
drama right there, but also some good amount of games, so we can really break
yes.
them down and mix it in with the drama as well. But I am definitely good. Watch a lot of football, and I want to say that aside from maybe the referees, which you're going to say that I would have blamed anyway, but I think you would agree this time around they have been a little bit dodgy.
JD, I had a bet for the Canada Peru game that says Peru won't get a yellow. And then they got a yellow, then they upgraded it to a red. So technically, JD, I could have paid bills if I had put that bet in. I could have paid bills. But guys, if you guys are new to the channel, we're doing this from the perspective of CONCACAF teams. I know some Combo folks will come in. Please let us know your thoughts. But we're doing this from the perspective of CONCACAF teams. I am Africans. I cover primarily Canadian and African content because I wouldn't be the Africans if I didn't do both. We have JD representing the Caribbean and with his multi passports life he lives and everything there. So guys, leave a comment and we're going to try to cover everything as much as we can going on that's happened in the Copa America. So leave us your thoughts. And like clockwork, JD, as we said, like clockwork, Omar Fallon's coming in, just letting us know that apparently I'm here. I am only here because we won a game. No, we
Wow.
scheduled a
Okay.
Thursday. We scheduled a Thursday stream. This was talked about earlier. Win or lose, we were gonna come on Thursday. But I appreciate you
Facts.
keeping
Facts.
track of me. And don't
Yes.
worry, next time I'll as I told JD, I think next time Canada loses, I'll take a 2-month sabbatical and we'll see what happens with that. But now, hey, so again, guys, we're gonna talk a little bit about how Copa America has gone from the CONCACAF standpoint. Again, we have Jamaica, we have Canada here. We can talk about the other CONCACAF teams, but guys, whoever you are talking and whoever you're watching, make sure you guys leave us a like, comment, subscribe. If you're on either channel, this is on IMAX at JD or WeMax. I'm because this is on the
We
IMAX
max it.
channel.
We max it. We max it.
Oh, on the
Yes.
WeMax it.
Yes. Yes.
Perfect. So
And I'm
if
gonna
you're on
share the
WeMax,
content
and you aren't
everywhere.
subscribed, jump there. If you're on the Africans channel, yes, make sure you jump on there, guys. So we are talking Copa America from the CONCACAF perspective, and we're gonna go through there. But as before we get into there, let's just say hi to everyone who's jumped in early. We do appreciate you guys for being here. So Sebastian, always love to see you here jumping on. Great to see you. Hope you're doing well. Doing well. Chris Cornif, good to see you as well. Bless up to you as well. We already talked to Omar, so yes, regardless win or lose, I show up and I'll talk. Apparently, more so when we win, so I'm just gonna keep doing that. So we're just gonna keep going into the narrative, and no one will stop me. No one will stop me. Greetings from Panama. Hey, dude, nice to see you. Saludos, saludos to you as well. Bringing up a topic, yes, we will cover this. Don't worry. Was Jamaica robbed yesterday? Jamaica was robbed yesterday. I did put out a post on X saying that they were robbed in front of a national audience in this economy. So I think that we'll talk about the whole game as a whole because I think there's two ways you can look at that game, but we'll break it down as we go. And then Chris telling us here the ref got the man of the match in the. I think the ref, and I think that's a good place to start. Not necessarily at the Jamaica game, but even I think as an overall, the refereeing. Now, if you're from CONMEBOL, you might say this is what is normal. If you're from CONCACAF, we say you get CONCACAF. I don't think the reffing has been particularly good this tournament, right? It hasn't been even because I'm JD, you know me. I'm not one who's going to
Mhm.
say I need my reffing to be great. I need them to be consistent. Therefore, if in the first minutes I can miss the ball and attack someone's kneecap and not get fouled, I expect that same treatment in the 85th minute.
Yeah,
Now,
consistency. Yeah, agreed. Agreed.
consistency is always my thing. Now, the problem with that is that now if you do that, it's the referee's job to create the parameters of how the game is going to be played. So, like, even I was talking to one of my mates the other day, even the Costa Rica Brazil match, and he was saying like the rest weren't even letting them play at this point. It was just chipping fouls. I feel as if this tournament, if you want to put on the conspiracy hat, you say either they're trying to get certain teams in, but it just feels as if the refereeing has not been up to standard to where we can actually see a game of quality football back and forth. I don't think we've been able to see a solid game as of yet, where it's just been free, whether the best team wins or the worst team loses. I don't think we've been able to see a game where we see the game being played. And I think that's primarily on the referees, and that's really hindered it, amongst other things. But we'll start with the refereeing, JD. How have you found the refereeing in this tournament so far, halfway through the group stage?
The first game for Jamaica versus Mexico, I thought the referee was actually good. That was one of the best officiated games right there. So definitely you had games in that I've actually watched. I think you have two solid games that we could say the referee was very good. Even after the game finishes, the coaches said that the referee was very good. But I could say that the Venezuela Ecuador game, that was a terrible officiated game, to be honest. And as they said, the lack of consistency, because at first they let a lot of tough challenges went, and once the red card they gave the red card, everything kind of changed from that point to try balance out the overall situation, which I don't like referee doing that. And then definitely Jamaica game, Argentina game as well, we could say the same. So you have several games that you had bad calls in. So we could clearly see that maybe they have not gotten great as yet. But I would say the backlash they took after this one via the internet, maybe they are going to be looking at some things to maybe talk a little bit different on it. That's what I would say still. But let's see. I'm just hoping. That's all.
No, that's fair. I think, I mean, if we're going to put that game into question, I think it's, for me, and I was saying this to my mate again, I don't understand the justification in that Ecuador Jamaica match, for example. If you're going to call the penalty on Reaggae, where he's jostling with the attacker, so his hands are in a, like, that's, would you call it a football play? No, but it's part of the play. That's what he's doing. He's trying to defend. And if the ball's headed down, it hits his arm, and you're going to call that a penalty. If that's a penalty, fine. I don't have an issue with that. But then when a player reacts to protect his face, like Greg didn't even, like, that's the thing. Greg didn't even react. This player reacts and puts the ball there. If you're going to say that's an accidental thing, this player is defending, looking at the ball comes down to his arm. That's the easiest one that we look at and say the consistency of it, but it's not just that. It's one tackle, one shoulder to shoulder isn't a foul. The next team comes on, they brush by them with some wind, they go down, it's a yellow for the opposing side. I just, if shoulder to shoulder you're laying that play, fine. There's no issue. But again, my big thing always is consistency. And even if you look at like the Canada-Peru game, for example, that was a game throughout the weather. Look, I don't know why they're playing that game at 5 in the afternoon at that center where it's the hottest part of the day. But the refereeing in that game was just, the first 20 minutes was, we're not calling anything. Okay, this is what we're doing. The next 13 minutes, foul. Okay, so we're calling things now? Okay, cool. The next 10 minutes after that, nothing. And you're like, I just want consistency. Because if you keep doing that, you don't get to actually see this, at least not even beautiful football. Just, you don't even see quality football at that point.
So that means you think the referees are just bad, but not biased towards one set of teams? Because I think people saying that they're biased towards the CONMEBOL teams. So are you seeing the same, or you're just saying the referees are just bad in general?
I think the referees are bad in general. If someone was watching this, there were moments where I was saying, are they trying to get this team through? Look, I won't lie. I had the thought when I was watching some games. Like when I watched the full Ecuador Jamaica game, and like I purposely didn't go onto the stream. I purposely didn't watch your reaction afterwards. But I was just like, if I didn't know better, I'd say, But I don't say it out loud. I think, but overall, the consistency is the refereeing, I think, has been below par. If you want to, if you want to go up and say, hey, they're against the Concacaf teams in some way or shape. If the refereeing is bad, you leave yourself open for that. So I won't necessarily stop that argument because they've been bad. So if you can come back, any fan can come and say, hey, if you look at the Peru Canada game, Peruvian fans will say, look at these fouls versus that Canada had against us. Why weren't they called? If we're Canadians, we look and say, a man headbutted the man, and you didn't even get it. Not even a yellow, not even a foul. It was just throw the ball in. Could we at least have? Is there no justice? Is there no justice in the world? So I think because they've been so bad, they've opened now the door for that conversation, for that discourse, which is, are the refs favoring these teams versus the others? But if they were at least consistent, I don't think I would have as much of an issue. But because it's just been so bad, it opens the door for people to question things overall. And I think that's where I find myself. Could I in the next week say, JD, I think everyone, they're all out to get them? It's possible. I won't probably publicly say it. You'll get a text from me saying this was rigged. But for how they've looked, because they've been so bad, I feel as if it's opened the door to question everything overall. So it's kind of, hopefully they're able to clean it up. Unfortunately, though, it's changed. I mean, that penalty versus Jamaica, that changed the course of that game, because at that point, if they give that penalty, and there's a lot of ifs there, if they give that penalty, Jamaica scores, it's now a 2-2 game, and maybe the game goes differently. Yes, you are fighting yourself away, and where I will bite back a bit with the conversation saying, were the Reaggae boys robbed? They were robbed of the penalty.
Yes,
I won't disagree with that.
That's what I've said as well.
I agree. I think their play in the first half put them in that hole. So if you're mounting the comeback, and now you have to rely on not only yourself, you have to rely on the refs, you have to rely on all these different factors just to get a point. And I'm not going to disagree. I think the penalty was inconsistent, because if Greg gets called for it, I think that one should have been called as well. But I think their first half put them in that hole to the point where it was just, okay, now you're fighting to get back in, and you needed everything to go right just to get the draw. So I think their play in the first half also has to be brought in. I know the big headline will be, were they robbed because of the penalty? And it's fair, but 45 minutes are where you were.
That's what I had also said as well early on the show, saying that even though we could have gotten the penalty, I am not certain if we could have kept the draw or win the game. I think I would have loved to see Mr. Algrimsey in that position to see what we could have done, because anytime we get ourselves in those positions, that's when you learn about a manager. So I wanted to see if he would have sticked with what he was actually doing, which is to kind of go forward rather than trying to drop back. But I was robbed of that opportunity to see that. You understand me? So, but I'm not sure, because Ecuador was not a dead team. They were still live, because they were creating equal amount of chances as Jamaica, if not slightly more openings, but maybe took shots earlier in that moment. So I'm not sure if we would have gone on to win it as well. So that's what I'm going to add to it. But I have a lot more to talk on. All right. So people, I pinned a link on my WeMax. So it is Africans channel. Definitely click on it, even if you're going to stay over there or come over to the next one. Any one of them, it doesn't matter. All right, because we wanted to subscribe and get Africans up to 1,000 as fast as possible, because this is like our channel. We work together always. This is a series, and this is something that can become big, so make sure to become a part of it from very, very early. Thanks all of you guys that turns up, because I know that streams have always up on in Jamaica space, and if you see a title that is not over the top Jamaica and you still come, I respect you guys to the toppest level. All right, so please do click the link and subscribe to Africans channel, and let me just have it going. A lot of comments coming in for you, Africans.
I know, and we're gonna get through those comments too before. But guys, let us know what you thought of the Copa America thus far, and we're gonna go through some of these comments. We see BAM Sports TV. Thank you for coming in. Appreciate the love and support. Chris Gorney, we've talked about this as well. The level of reffing officiating has been off. I do agree. Omar Fowling, reffing in the Copa is atrocious. Some games, it's like people getting away with rugby. I agree. I think this is when the games get this rough, I always come up with a prison rules joke where I say, I guess we're not going to call anything until there's blood. So, okay, these are the rules. These are the rules. And then the next call, it'll happen. Someone will just touch a shoulder, and then they'll get a yellow, and they'll go to VAR for a red. The inconsistency is there. Canada did beat Peru. We'll talk about that a little bit later. There we go. I don't agree with the role of VAR, BAM Sports says. I think there's too much room for interpretation. Thus, there is a high level of inconsistency going around in different games. I think that is the problem once you bring in something like VAR, because how we are watching something isn't how it happens, right? So, like, again, this is the same comparison back to the Jamaica-Ecuador game. If Greg Lay is tossing with the attacker and the ball hits his arm, you're going to say his arm isn't in a natural position. But then if a defender reacts to something coming towards his face, which most people react and try to block it, that is more of a, if you're going to say that's a natural position, sure, it is still the hand on the ball. That is less of a soccer move, in my opinion. That's a human move, but that's less of a soccer move than, say, Greg Lay holding on to a center back trying to defend. So if you're going to penalize him for that should be red, because at the end, because they've called some of these, and that's the thing. I feel that hands in the box have always just been, does it touch your hand? Unless you were putting your hand away from yourself, like unless you're putting your hands behind your back or putting them front, ultimately they call that as a penalty. So because of that, I think that they should be more consistent.
If you want, really if you want, I have the actual clip. Not the clip, but the picture. I can put it on the screen for the actual controversial penalty, so at least people rewatching the video can see. It's not going to be copyrighted because it's actually a clip. So I had explained.
But that's to me,
what I did, I had explained early on my program. I saw someone commenting and say that the guy never got his arm in line with his body. But you see it right now because I made sure to get it to show you. His arm is in line with his body, but it has not come to his body to make one. And that is the rule, how it goes. That means it should be a legitimate penalty. You understand me? So I was not trying to be disingenuous and trying to make points that was not there. I was just going according to the rule. That is for TikTok, because TikTok called me out right there. So I made sure to bring the information right there to look at it. And to me, it looks like a penalty. I had agreed that it was a penalty. I just tried to implement the rule so I could see from which vantage point the referee was actually looking from. Go ahead, African. Sorry about that.
No problem. And I think that's where, we can keep on hammering this array. I think the flow of the game was different at that point with Jamaica. But again, I think I made a comment to I was texting my friend during the game because we were both watching the game. And at some point, I think, look, this is a big moment. I think there's a bigger issue with Jamaica, which is just at some point, a midfield would be nice, guys. Just from the outside looking in, a midfield would be nice, right? Because when it looks like the only way that they can build up is when Antonio leaves the striker position, comes all the way out wide because of some defensive, he gets the ball, then he decides, I'm going to progress the ball. And that to me, I'm just like, well, if your striker has to drop back to be a left back to help your build up go through, yes, you were robbed of a penalty. I think that's a bigger issue. I think at some point that's a bigger issue in terms of lessons coming through. I know that's going to be the thing that we'll go to, but we will wrap it up. But let's go through some of these comments before we go, in terms of, because we're on Jamaica, we'll talk about lessons learned, and like, maybe, I know you have one game left in the competition left, but for the Jamaicans who are here, talk to us about what are the things, because I've seen a variety of discourse on this Jamaican side, from whether it's the coach, from whether it's playing certain players, not playing players. If you guys had to narrow it down, Jamaican fans, to one or to two things, what are the two things you're leaving this tournament saying that you either need or that you've learned from your team so far? As you're doing that, guys, we're just going to go through these comments and go through. Technologies, BAM Sports says technology is required in sports, but I think when it's bringing so much inconsistency, it brings a lot of questions. So my thought is whether the technology is the issue or human interaction. I think there's always going to be the element of human error. And I think in that type of a situation, what I've liked about it is that at least we can have the opportunity to look at some of these handball offenses and such. What I don't like necessarily is linesmen necessarily are letting things go, which isn't bad in football because you're not going to score that many goals. So let the play progress and then check to see if it's offsides later. You have that offside check, that's fine. But if the VAR is brought in to look at reds, the VAR is looking to look at penalties, you have to be, it's defined, a hand in the box is a penalty. Now, if you're going to start to say, well, what is a football move? What isn't a football move? I've seen less egregious things called than that. I've seen players diving, trying to slide, trying to tackle, and they slide the ball under, and the defender is bracing themselves, and then the ball hits their arm, and then they say, well, it's not a defense, it's not in a football position. And to that, I say, what is the defender supposed to do? Just dive as if he's a luge? He's doing the luge and just cross his arms and hope for the best. So I think I do agree with the consistency. I've seen it much more harshly, and in this case, because they were so generous, I do question the overall state of it going through. Javon Davis is saying that it's rigged. I don't think any CONCACAF will win or reach the final in this competition because it's rigged. I don't think a CONCACAF team will reach the final because I think they'll run into a better team. But when your reffing is this inconsistent, you open yourself up to these types of comments. And someone will make a YouTube compilation of every foul that should have been a foul that wasn't called, and it's gonna look terrible. The reffing has been atrocious to me, and I think that's a problem overall. Chris Cornier says Messi got a foul, but it's Messi. Messi always gets fouls. There's no surprise there. All right, and then there's no way one, and we talked about that as well. If one is given and the other one isn't, I don't disagree with that. Some of the comments we've heard away with Hallgrimsson. Hey, we'll touch on that in a little bit.
Yeah,
I
that
don't
will be
necessarily,
separate from this
yeah.
drama.
And I do agree with this. One bad decision can change the entire momentum of the match. I do agree. I'm not disagreeing. I think if they give that penalty, maybe it's tied and maybe what happens. Maybe Ecuador's on the ropes. However, when you're down 2-0, like the build up to it, it's harsh. But I'll say, like, Jamaica didn't play well in that first half, and they were in a 2-0 deficit. They fought their way back to 2-1. They should have had a chance at 2-2. Once that left, yes, we're not disagreeing with that the penalty was robbed. But that first 45 put you in that spot. And I think that needs to be more into question because I feel as if the midfield was a sieve. Like the midfield was a sieve, and they could run through it, they could pass through it, and I think that was a bit of the problem that I had with the Jamaica game as a whole, because there's two aspects of it. There was the penalty, but then the build up to it. I think we have to look at that as well. All right, Ryan telling me that they need to do better. I do agree. Play the clips. Thank you for the clips. Wonderful, wonderful. Skipping ahead, there are so many comments here, JD. When you
Well,
bring your folks, there's so many comments.
What you do, prioritize them for the subject matter, so you can come back to some.
Agree.
Yes.
Our vibes is here, letting us know that was a robbery. I do agree with that. When you have the clip, yes, just fine. Yep, human error is always going to be part of it. I do agree. There we go. Then this is the battle for route with 18. Yes, didn't even get a card, and this is where again the consistency. If one team can foul and then the other team can't, it sort of kind of looks as if you're saying, the refs are saying, yeah, let's push these South Americans forward. I think because it's been that bad, and I'm going to continue to say that, they've opened themselves up for that. And I think that's where the problem is ultimately, right? And I think that's where it is, complete robbery. But I think coming back to the thing, they need a natural CDM. I do agree. I know a player like Damien. I'm going to do it, JD. I'm going to do it. I know Damien Lowe has his fans. Damien Lowe is a solid center back in this region. I don't like him. I like him in spurts in the midfield to defend, but if you make that his primary positioning, I think that's been figured out by a higher level of competition where you can get him out of position, right? At some points you see Damian Lowe the sitting in front of the back three, and he's trying to lead and he's trying to put in crosses, and I'm like, why are you here, sir? Could you defend for a little bit? And then on the counter, I just don't. I
His
don't.
fans will
So I
come
see
at
you. I
you.
see
Yeah.
you, and that's fair. But for me, I think they
Talk
need
your
to find a
piece.
better option in
Talk your piece,
midfield.
Africans. Don't let him bully you.
No,
Don't
I
let him
see it and
bully
I
you.
laugh because I know it's it. But I feel like that's a good break glass in case of the emergency. But you haven't dealt with the issue, which is you need a CDM there because if you actually have the players, I think that opens up things better for you. That helps your build up better. But I don't like the midfield to me was problematic in terms of why they were down 2-0 because everything was just moving so easy and so quickly through. So I think yes, the penalty is the issue, but for me, my takeaway from Jamaica is that they have yet to. What is this, JD? Year 5 of they need the CDM, and we don't have a CDM solution. At some point, they
Yes,
need to
I would
find a
put it at
solution for this.
year 5. I would put it at year 5 because we moved off from Hector because Hector was the actual CDM. Hector and
Hmm.
Aka was the actual CDM at that time, and we moved away
Hmm.
from both of them, and then we had Speedy as not a natural CDM, but like a deeper line box to box player. And it can sometimes look like he can apply himself in that position. Then we got 2 years later, we got one came in. He was older. Grant, his name is Grant. He was older. And then after
Yes.
that, now we
Yeah.
are trying to pretty much make a CDM. All right, because now we start to get more players, but not players for that position.
No, that's true. And I think that's the to me, if they can find the CDM, it solves a bit of their problems. I think they have a lot of pace. I do think there's a degree, and I saw who had the comment, and I just lost it. But energy here, because I've seen this discourse coming out, get rid of the coach. Because someone messaged me this and it was like, yo, the Jamaicans are saying they need to get rid of the coach. And I'm just like, and I'll ask you for your opinion. From the outside looking in, JD, he wants to play a style that doesn't necessarily suit the players he has. That being said, I think give him a CDM, and then I think he's a CDM away from being able to play an actual defend and counter properly, and then actually be able to build up. Because my commentary, again, the big moment for me in the game is when Mikel Antonio is like, okay, decides to be Thanos and says, look, I'll do this myself, goes all the way to left back, helps in the build up, plays 1-2s, gets the ball in the middle, drives the ball forward, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, a build up. Where's Joe Latibatier? Okay, he's defending, getting called for questionable fouls. Okay. Where's Bobby Reed? Here, there, not again. If your striker has to go back all the way, drop back all the way to the left back position to build up, the players you have there aren't built for that, which means you're either trying to play let's defend and counter with people who can either only tackle and can only flip the ball forward. I think if you add a CDM here, it changes the dynamic. But I won't disagree with the notion that the style that he's trying to play, he has attacking players. Even when, like, if you had your full depth of players, you still have a lot of attacking players who don't necessarily defend but can't build up. It's just get the ball there and see what you can create. So I think a CDM can fit, or Halgrimson really has to look at his system and say,
Thank you.
we need to prioritize finding a CDM so that it looks better. Because if he's just going to use what he has here, put 3 in the midfield, put 6 in the midfield, it's going to look the same way,
And
right?
to be
But
to
that's
be
my
honest,
opinion. That's for me looking the outside
to
looking
be
in.
honest, Africans, I actually think we don't immediately need a CDM. We have the players that can work with it. We saw that Latibodier went in the role and played immaculate. Hector played very
Mm.
well for Jamaica in that role before they actually moved on from him. We have Anderson actually can play the role. He can play the role at this point because he played the role numerous times. All right. So we have people that can actually do the job. And we have an actual CDM there, which is Kevin Lambert. Even though Kevin Lambert is not the highest level player, majority of his games that he played for Jamaica, he was actually a solid player for those games. So we have 4 people that can actually play the CDM aside from Damian Lowe. And this is where you have people having the problem to say that maybe the coach need to go because his statements them matched his selection. because he has 4 players that can play CDM, but yet still go for Damian Lowe, because what he said in his interviews kind of connected. Oh, because the player bring a different thing to the team and he doesn't want the unrest in the team. But what can give you more unrest in a team, Africans, than a player playing in a position when you have the most people? Because to be honest, CDM and actual centre back is the most in our team, this selection, because we have 4 CDMs and we have centre backs as well. So you see your life funny, because we keep on saying CDMs, people not realizing that we have a lot of CDMs actually in the team now, whether or not they are ready, but all of them are better than Low. Every one of them better than Low is as a CDM. It's not a question. I was almost sure, and we prove ourselves, because Latibodir goes there, shows how comfortably he is in that system to play that role. Anderson can play it. He plays it at his club and play on a box-to-box role as well. Hector played multiple games, good for Jamaica. Almost every CDM games Hector played, he is better than any game Low ever played in that role, ever, which is not so much, because sometimes he played in midfield, but not necessarily CDM. But CDMs, Hector always played good, and Kevin Lambert literally carried us through the Gold Cup qualifiers. So we forgot those things very fast. But for me, as a person that watches the game and really document these things, yes. So all of these guys have done their thing. Obviously, we don't have the highest ilk. That is where you're arguing. We don't have the highest ilk of a CDM. That is true. A natural one. That is true. But we still had better than what he chose. And that's where people have the biggest problem, Africans, because people could dub that as, okay, it's a vibe situation, and you flick with a little bit more, you're going to go to select them, or you're trying anything to put Damian Lowe in the team because you can't put him over the centre backs them that you clearly realize is better than him at this point. And you're going to cheat yourself out of a job if you do so. And I think that is what the problem is. That's why the fans them not really pleased. And I could clearly see where they're coming from, because I've just proved that we had multiple CDMs in the actual team.
And that's I hear what you're saying there. Whenever someone brings up like you need players to be vibes, you want the vibes to be getting camp. You know what destroys the vibes in a camp, JD? When you're down 2-0 in the first half. That destroys the vibes.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
It
That's
destroys
where
the vibes.
that's where I led to early on.
So for me, it's always a conversation of, can you figure out what it is? Now, this coach is in a spot. We need to stop the experiment. There's a degree where he's going to continue to experiment until he either A, decides to put a player in the right peg, right? Put the right peg in the right hole and have that go, or he brings it in, right? And that was the thing that I said before Nations League, right? Before Nations League, after they beat Canada, I said, you have 4 months to identify and find a CDM. They did not. They ran it back. And to their credits, they almost beat the US and then beat Panama at Nations League. That's fine. We're at the Copa America. Every team in the Copa, minus maybe Bolivia, and even Bolivia would still give Concacaf teams a run. Every team is better than every Concacaf team here. So you can't hide. This isn't even going to the World Cup. You're playing a higher level of competition where
Fanamina just saying things for saying things sake. He doesn't really listen to nothing what I've said. He's just looking to fight.
That's fine. And I think, and this is where, like I said, I think if you want to be in the camp of getting a coach, what I will say is I feel that the talent that he has and the style of players that he has, I wonder if it's a style of player that he has. He doesn't realize that he can't play that style here. Because if you want to play a fully defensive role with players who just want to attack, you're going to have, it's going to look like a 4-2-4, or let's be real, look like a 4-1-5. And then when the team wants to counter through the midfield, they'll ask themselves left side, right side. Doesn't matter. Let's go. Let's figure that out. So I think the CDM is still a problem for the squad overall.
No,
I feel as if they can't solve that.
The Fanamina is the obsessed soul of the clan of Damian Lowe. All right, he can't win because the coach saw it. No, finally, the coach saw the light. Fanamina, so you're not going to win.
No, no, Jay, the fan. I've been saying this. I've been saying this since they beat you. Since Jamaica beat Canada in October. Find another
Thank you very
solution.
much.
You found something from there. This is nothing new. If you go back to the lives in there, I've said, can you find a CDM now? Because that's a good temporary solution. I don't think that's ultimately it. And from what they put out there, it hasn't worked. Right? This is to me like when Herdman played Bombito as a CDM at the Gold Cup. Could it have worked ultimately? Yes. Does Canada still have a CDM problem? Of course they do. But at the end of the day, they haven't been able to find that CDM solution. So you're playing an 8 there, which at times looks good and at times gets passed through like your Swiss cheese. So I think ultimately you have to, that's to me is my outside looking in at what Jamaica is doing. And I'm not sure if that is. Now, does changing the coach solve that issue? I don't know, because you either have to, as a coach, he either has to say, look, defense, whatever, we're just going to put that to the side and we're just going to try to win every game 5-3, 5-4, and hope that Blake is healthy and then you have all the saves and you're good. Or if you're going to play defensively, identify what the league is and then kind of work from there. Because if not, it's going to be, you're going to have games where you can fight back into it, but then you're always either ahead and giving up a deficit or you're chasing a deficit. And I think for the quality that Jamaica has, that shouldn't be the case. So I think right now, looking at them, CDM is still the issue. It's either find a CDM or change the philosophy of what they're trying to do and just go full out attack. Just, we're gonna give up goals, but we're gonna score more than you. Outscore your, if you're gonna defend, get a CDM. If you're gonna try to score, just go score. To me, that is it. I think the coach has to either decide one of the things: find a CDM or just say, bring all the speed, all the attackers. Defense, you'll have to look good in the transition. Play a high line. Hopefully, you can catch some teams on the offside trap from there, but then just outscore them. That's, to me, is the only options, because I don't see it kind of moving one way or the other. But yes, guys, right before we wrap up Jamaica, because I have the feeling we're going to be here for a while, JD, and I'm fine with that. But
Yes,
guys,
we
let us
look like we have to
know
do the whole thing, so we might have to extend
yeah,
the show,
the whole
sir.
thing. No, that was the second I realized that we were at 30 minutes and we hadn't talked to the game. I was like, yeah, we're gonna be here for 2 hours. It's okay. So,
Yeah,
guys, give
well,
me
we
two
have to
hours
do
worth
two
of love.
hours max. All right.
Perfect.
Yes, we need
So, guys, let us know.
as much likes. We need the most likes on this series on both platforms. All right. So go over to Africans stream, drop a like over there. Make sure we get at least 50 likes. So the link is pinned at the top of my stream. Please click it and go over to Africans, give him 50 likes on it and give him the subscription as well, so we can build the platforms. All right. We need more quality contents more than the other contents. All right, so let we support people that you can rely on to give you some football contents, because that's what we want to be back and that's what we're trying to push. All right, so definitely subscribe to him and hit the like button. Yes, go ahead, Africans.
No, for sure. So I think for that, again, Fana says it here. I do agree. I think at this point, either find a CDM. To me, if I'm Halgrimson, I don't think you fire him yet. I think you wait for what happens with Nations League, if that's when you're going to make the decision, because Nations League is more of a that you get to play a better competition there. But if I think Halgrimson either has to find a real CDM or change his team philosophy to just look, we're just going to outscore them. Defense, we have a good keeper, that's good. But I think that, to me, if I'm Halgrimson, I'm looking at the side. You need to find a CDM that can connect everything, or you're just bombs away. Guys, just go outscore them. And hopefully Blake is back. And then if we win a game 5-3 or 5-4, at least we have the talent to score goals. Because Jamaica has the talent to score goals. That's never been a problem with Jamaica. They have to put the ball in the net. But if you want to defend first and then go forward, this to me is like every African every coach that goes to Africa and says, let's defend. And then like they go to, and yes, I know I'm gonna bring up Nigeria, JD, but I'm gonna bring up Nigeria. They're gonna put 9 forwards in the midfield and then up top, and then people are gonna question, why is it that they don't look good? I don't know. A striker wants to strike. He doesn't want to put in tackles in the midfield. So let them do what they do. So for me, that's where I will put it as that. Let's go through some of these comments before we go through some of the other CONCACAF sides. because as some people have said, Canada won the game. So I need to talk about that a little bit, just a little bit too.
Or just mix
All
it,
right, so
because people will. It looks like people will just comment
yeah,
right through it. So maybe you have to mix it. Yeah, you're becoming a star, So you need to work on
yeah.
the comments them
Eh,
coming in.
I'm not a star, JD. I'm just a man with a YouTube channel.
Well,
But that's the
you're gonna have to become a star, all right?
y- well, if you
Josh,
insist, if
Josh
you
soon
insist.
come looking for you.
Josh knows where I am. We've done some podcasts in the past, so Josh knows where to
Okay,
find
okay.
me.
Well, he's
And
gonna
so
return.
so still talking about that. We had some comments. All right. Jade, I'll throw this up here. He's not loyal to anyone, just the best player should play, which I will always come back and say the right players should play as well as the best players. You want the best team, but the coach is always going to come this, and this is where I understand the criticism of Hogwarmson. I think for the style that he has played, I think that works if you are. I think that works if you're trying to build a team that can go. I think Jamaica has more talent than he had in Iceland. They were able to play a collective system there. I think Jamaica has too much attacking talent for you to be playing defensively, unless you can put the defensive players there. So if I'm Halgrimson, I'll say again, and maybe that's a fair point, Fire Gunner. This is the fair point. Does this coach know how to attack? Check the history. I don't know. Based off the attack, he's been a defend and counter and be low to mid block. That's what he does. So if you're gonna ask two cams and a CB to play in the midfield, and then ask your strikers to come back, you're asking them to buy into a lot, but you have to see results for it. So that's what I would do. I don't know if that's the right decision overall, but I think if I'm him, I'm looking at the talent and I'm saying, you know what, we're just gonna try to outscore teams and go from there because defensively and the CDM, I feel like they're just going to. It's gonna look the same. They'll either get ahead in a game and then maybe give up. They'll either draw a game and not look convincing, or they'll be facing a game against a better competition and they'll go from there. And so I think ultimately they need. It's one of those two things from there, and I think that's where I think I want them to go in terms of where it goes. So we've covered Jamaica well enough, and I know we'll have more Jamaican
Mhm.
conversations here. So guys, put it there. Switching over to because we talked about you, JD. Let's talk about Canada.
Yeah,
2-0
yeah,
loss
yeah.
to Argentina, a 1-0 win over Peru, with a game against Chile where you could, if they win effectively, they move on to the next round. How have you seen Canada fare in this competition so far?
All right. So Canada, the first game against the first game against Argentina, I thought that they did well enough for me. I thought that they threatened. Yes, they still, you know that system that Decimas used in Leeds, right? You could clearly see that he was trying to get to that level, but it's going to take a little while. I saw it over the Netherlands game, the France game. After 60 minutes, they kind of drop off. I think that they have extended that little lift there to maybe around
Mm.
70. So, which is good because anytime they reach 80, 85 minutes, teams in our region is in danger. I think they are still better than the system can beat almost everybody in our region at this point. But definitely for South American teams, their high energy system can cut Canada out because even with 10 players, you still saw that Peru caused as much problems on them as best as possible. So for me, all I have to say is I like what they offer, and I think I picked them to go through. And now I saw them got the 3 points against Peru. I do believe that they are going to get something in the final game against Chile and go through. So if it's 4 points, they're going to still go through. But I actually believe that they're going to go through. I like what I saw, and I think that with a few more addition along the way, they can become a top tier team in our region.
Mm. No, I think that's a fair thing. As you know, I'm probably more harsh on this side than I should be. I've taken the approach of I'm not going to really I'm not going to fully evaluate them, or I won't have a feel of them until probably right before Nations League in the fall. So this is his 4th game. This is his first win. This is their first goal, right? I'm not going to look at it as that simple, but there are parts of this game where it looked, you have to give credit. You always have to acknowledge who you played. I think Peru set this game up to be a feisty game, and they were feisty, borderline violence, as some people would say. I wouldn't say they were just, this is a Common Bowl game. But the way they set up was perfect for no. They gave Canada no space. For a team that prides itself on transitioning, they gave them no space. And so they looked sloppy. They looked at times very slow. Now, again, playing the game in the heat, I'm not going to go as far as to say that Canada can only play under 25 degrees Celsius, but heat and humidity affects anyone. And I think that played a role in the game. I do question whether they should have played the game at that time when your assistant referee collapses due to heat. And this is where, I say, the refereeing has been atrocious. It's at the middle of the day in Kansas in the buildup of the summer. It's going to be hot and humid. Where are the hydration breaks? Where are the hydration cooling breaks, people? Your ref just collapsed. Where are these? And this is where it's the refs have just not been. I don't feel the refs have been good. In terms of what they played like, I think I like their game against Argentina a little bit better, even though it turned into the Messi and Crepo challenge, who would score, who wouldn't. I like that they were able to get the goal. I know for a lot of Canadians, one of the big questions is the young substitute, Jacob Schaffelberg, who every time he's come into the game has provided a lot more directness. But I think you have to be mindful of the games that you're playing. I think right now he suits better for the bench for this tournament, just because the rest of your wing play, I think everyone's kind of in that position. The other thing I'd say is it's showing you the depth of quality. I was talking to my mate about this. I think for Canada, if you say there's tiers of players in Canada, you have the first group, you have Davies, David, Kone, and I'm going to put Crepo into that because I think Crepo is really showing how he's an excellent keeper in this Canada side for the national team. He's way good. After that next group of players that you need something from, your Tejans, to an extent, Steph Eustachio.
Yes,
right? They've not been up to that level in this tournament. And because of that, and I think because of that, if you had them more informed, I think that opens the door for a lot more possibilities for them. But because they are where they are, it kind of leaves you in a position where Davies is always going to be up because Davies has played at the level. Kone is a player who did struggle against Peru, but he can. But you need your Tejans to be firing. Before the World Cup, I said Tejan's the most important player for Canada because he gives you attack on the right side. If you can now funnel attack on the right side, now you have to defend more than just say whoever find 19 to defend there. So I've liked what I've seen there. The problem with Laren, because I did see this comment from Irie Vibes, who asked Miller and Laren shouldn't be starting. The problem with Laren is what are we asking you to do? If you ask the coach loves him because he's defending well, he's getting to spaces, he's pressing well. That's great if you were a CDM. Laren is the all-time leading goal scorer for Canada, and when you see a striker on the pitch, you want him to strike, get a team. So I think the problem for me is because he's not done well with his chances, it does leave it a question. I do think this is a system that may need more in the midfield ultimately, or if you're going to put another striker on top that is a little bit more mobile. So maybe that's Taniel Luasi who came in. Maybe that's Ugbo when he's with the team. Maybe that's a Theo Bear if they ever give him the chance. But I think right now, based off how he's playing, I understand why people are saying he shouldn't start. I like that Marsh has been shorter on his leash in the second half. I don't need him to change the starting 11 because I think it's a solid. Those 11 players have a good working relationship with themselves. but I think they need to. I think he has to be quicker with his decisions to make changes. So if that means you bring in your Schaffelberg at the halftime part, I'm fine with that because like in a game like yesterday, after you saw Peru defend so well, I think someone like Schaffelberg, where he's playing that direct and creating an impact, you need that type of role because that change of pace works. If he starts and he doesn't provide you when you go to the bench, I think it's a bit of a problem from there. But we will go from there. And guys, let's go through some of your comments on Canada. iRevive is letting us know again that Crepeau has been Canada's best player without a doubt. Without a doubt. They aren't on 3 points without him. He's made good saves. Tejan's been underperforming. Tejan's not in form. And I think that's a fair point to say. He's been underperforming. He went to Milan, and yeah, he has to earn his spot, but that means he doesn't have the game reps, which means he's not in form. When he was at Genk, he was playing a lot more. So I think, so Club Brugge, when he was there, he could do that. But when he's not playing, when he's fighting for a spot, training is important here, and I think he's not in form. There's nothing wrong with that, but I think that speaks to what my concern with the Canadian program overall is. If he's in form, he's above that. If he's not, Canada has a glut of wingers that are all kind of in that same spot where they can do the job on decent sides, right? Jaden played in Norway, Theo Corbiano playing in La Liga. Like, they have winger options, but they're all kind of there. They're not meh, but they're in that glut of no one's really standing out, especially now you add Tejan when he's not in form. So I think that becomes the most interesting part of the program because I think they can kind of work through. The first team, if in form, is strong. The bench, I think that's where the youth come in. I think that's where Schaffelberg could look good in this role because he's very direct, and I like that. As iRevive says, every time he's come on, he's had an impact, and I think that's just his style of play, playing more direct. But against the times that they played, it's just been really tough, right? Hopefully before the end of July, at least one come, and it's in the environment where they want to come. Yep. For the CDMs for Jamaica, I assume that's a fair point. Lee Young here, good to see you here. They were dissing Canada by calling the likes of Cornelius Jamaican. Listen, they have Jamaican descent. Like, I'm not gonna run away from that. There was a player on Ecuador who had a Ghanaian last name, and I was like, "Yo, John, yeah, boy, I see you, but I know you were born there, so good life. Like, I'm not gonna be mad at you."
Yes, it's
So
just
there's
about
nothing really wrong with that.
business.
But I do agree with you.
For me, I just
Yeah.
think that I agree with you on the quality. The quality players need to step up and keep their levels up for as long as possible, so the others can really step up. That is true, but I still believe that maybe you need one or two centre backs to add to your team, like quality, and because I truly think that Marsh with this team and the top players, what they can actually do, I think they can really become the best team in CONCACAF. Like for a while, like a short time, maybe 1 or 2 years, and beat the United States and Mexico. I think you guys can pull it up based on the system that I saw Marsh playing, and you have some of the players them that can turn up, but you would need some depth to the team. But those pressing metrics that I'm seeing, I am impressed with them, and they are giving big teams trouble.
Yes.
I think you guys have given big teams trouble than United States and Mexico since I've seen you played all of these teams. Argentina, Netherlands, France. No, France was more of a defensive display. So, but you still showcase some skills there. But on those games that I saw United States, Mexico in, it's like a shadow of themselves. So it showcased that you have some forward players that are very good. The system, it looks like these players fits the system, but I just believe that you need one or two centre backs to add to it. Bambito definitely looked good the other day. So I would say that he's coming around the corner, but I still believe that you need one or two so you can rotate them if one drops off, so you can get the consistency going for a longer period of time. And Canada could be truly dangerous based off that. But I think their system, I like what I'm seeing from the coach.
No, I agree. I think the thing that I noted initially after the first two, when I put it in my video, I think this system is going to be predicated on having informed fullbacks and wingers. And right
Yeah,
now, you have maybe just your MLS players are informed, your European players are on vacation mode. I mean, they're playing, but this is their off season. So I think that's going to be the thing, and that's why I bring up that glut of wingers that Canada has, where hopefully someone can step up in there. The other low key thing that I don't think we're talking about enough is that we aren't that deep at fullback, right? We are 3 players deep, which maybe that's all you need. But earlier this year, we had no Adekui, we had no Larea. And so your fullbacks were Davies and Alistair Johnston. That was your
yeah.
depth. And so those 2 players are over the 30 threshold. That doesn't mean that they're now done, but it's a fair conversation to have in terms of you need that next fullback prospect needs to come soon, right? They don't need to be a Davies, but if they're just if they're just even an Alistair Johnston level where they are good enough, maybe they're playing in Scotland, maybe they're playing in wherever they are, but they're playing at a good level. Because outside of that, that's where I think Davies is still at the fullback. I still think, based off of the depth that we have, that's his best position for Canada. I know many will want him to play forward, but I think you have winger options that can do the job. And worst case scenario, you can go there. So I think for me, fullback is an interesting position because we don't talk about it as much with Davies and Alistair Johnston. But Larea being there is great, but it is not as deep as we think. And I think that is a very real concern that we really have to talk about. Balky says Tejan catch the bug form from Gray. maybe. Irie Vibe is telling us that I think Kone he didn't have his best game. Kone played like that player who knew there were scouts in the stadium and tried to do everything, but then could do nothing in this game. Now, granted, you have to give credit to Peru. Peru's defensive game just took away space there. So they looked sloppy and slow, and they looked hesitant. Peru did that to them. They were able to get the goal with
but
a
you
man
said they
down.
look. Yeah, go ahead. Finish, and then I will come in because you said that they look sloppy and slow.
No,
But
I mean, I
because
think
what we want
they
to get.
looked.
Go ahead, because the timing looked
No,
like
go,
it's
go,
not
go.
synced. Oh, so what I was actually saying,
All right.
is that if you ranked all the teams, definitely I would love to get that metric. I'm trying to look for it for another day from their websites because they would have normally give it to us to say that who presses more than everyone else. I think that Canada is still amongst the teams that presses the most. To be honest, so even though that you're saying that they look sluggish and slow, it is because they're playing against this level. Because against the Concacaf teams, they could be able to drop the form and you don't see it because they would have still be above that CONCACAF team. So I do believe that sometimes you're being a little bit harsh on them in that capacity due to the fact that they are still going higher than their level. And that is impressive for them just to get these few games and they're doing such thing. So I wouldn't say that their farm dropped down, their farm dropped down to these South American teams. We saw that all of our teams struggling with them. Even Bolivia seems to be a fitter team than almost every CONCACAF team. I don't know how that is possible. What is in the rain there or something? I am still clueless, because I don't understand, because most of these players are playing in the same location in Europe. So, in the world, they are still fitter. Is it that just the system? What are they using to be fitter? You understand me? I have an idea in my head, and I'm working it out, but I'm not. I've not came to the conclusion as yet, so I cannot really put it out there. But I have a feeling why these teams go back to their hometown and they look so different. Look, Japan, when you're playing Japan, South Korea, they are pressing to death when they have the same players playing in Europe. So is it that they're just a better stamina team, or is the system kind of balanced the way they play to get the most effective players on the ball for a longer period? I don't know as yet, but I'm working on it.
And that's fair. I think there's a level of fitness that these teams have. I think most of the CONCACAF teams haven't looked good from a fitness standpoint. I think Canada they're 4 games in with their new coach, so I think I'll give them the pass. The US looked decent against Bolivia. Mexico is I'm not going to write them off, JD. I'm not going to say that Mexico is no longer a top side in CONCACAF, but the more that they keep having I'm not going to say that, but the more they keep having these performances, the more it opens the door for, does somebody want to take their spot at the table?
No, Africans. My brother, I don't know what's going on with Mexico slander. We are playing better teams than us. Can we all agree on that? Yes or no? We're playing better teams than us.
Agreed.
All right. Oh, let me hear your based on performance, your top 6 performing team from the CONCACAF. Let me see that in order, and then now I can judge why you're coming up with this, because you always fight against Mexico for reasons I don't know, and I'm the Black Mexican.
Yeah. Okay, Kiones. Okay, relax. But okay, like I think top performing CONCACAF teams, I'd go USA
First.
1.
Yeah. Oh.
But the problem with here's the problem with playing the USA 1. They're playing the worst CONMEBOL team, and then playing Panama, a team that can give them trouble, but pragmatically are changing the rhythm of their system. And they also, I think Christensen is squeezing so much. Christensen to me is like a higher level of Hugo Perez, where Hugo Perez squeezed as much as he could out of El Salvador. I think Christensen is squeezing as much as he can out of Panama, but I don't know. I think Panama has better players, but that's about where it kind of sits. So I go USA 1. I'd go with based off of I'll put Mexico 2. I'll put Mexico 2.
All right.
I'll put Mexico 2.
Okay.
I'll put Canada 3 because those 3 teams have wins.
Yes, but also the performance is to back it as well.
Yes. Now, do I give Costa Rica points for drawing Brazil, or do I give Panama points for actually being in that Uruguay game, but Darwin finally decided to score the difficult one, but couldn't put away sitters? So who do I punish here? I think from results based, I'd put Costa Rica ahead of Panama, but in terms of how they played, I'd put Panama ahead of Costa Rica.
Okay. All right. So hold on. Where you put Jamaica last? Oh God.
I am debating. I don't truthfully, JD, Panama. I don't know. Like I've had my issues with Jamaica, and I think for me, Jamaica has shown me 2 solid spurts in 2 halves. Right? They had the spurt against Mexico where the build up, and then ultimately they're able to get the goal from that. And then you have their second half against Ecuador where they start off better. They get the goal. They build up until the penalty. We've all talked about it. But that's all Jamaica's given me. Their first halves have been we
agree with you. We agree with you, and even the Jamaicans in the chat actually agree with you as well that we might still be at the worst performing team out of everyone. And I love the fact that every Jamaican being honest now. I don't know what happened last week if the Kool-Aid changed, you know. we're drinking different Kool-Aid because I can't believe this. Everybody's saying, oh no, we are not the best performing team in the JD. I don't know where all of a sudden everyone just start talking the truth. Oh God. Because I wanted to put Jamaica up this time a little bit, because I like the second half in Africans. I like the second half. So I wanted to put Jamaica over Panama until they play United States later. Then I can recalculate, because I thought the second half was good. I saw Ari Vibe saying that Jamaica look fitter than Ecuador. I don't think you watched the game. You were watching a different game. If a team winning the game 2-1, winning the game 2-1, they drop back to keep it to a counter-attacking base. So they were marking at their spots. Jamaica never looked fitter than Ecuador. In 40 minutes in that game, Jamaica tired already and just running off fumes, to be honest. All right, and I love the fact that they gave that last gas energy, that the last gas energy that they had, but they weren't fitter than Ecuador. Ecuador running past people to score the goal. Africans, are we lying? Are our eyeballs tricking us? Can you
No lies
educate
there.
our vibes on me?
No lies, JD. I think I'm about 3 seconds off. Well, it'll pick up in a second. But I think for Jamaica, I think if you're a Jamaican fan, the most frustrating part for me, I watching as neutral, that second half, everything up until the no penalty, I hadn't seen them move that fast in so long. I
Yes,
didn't
that's
I
agreed.
hadn't seen them look so decisive. They were playing, and like you saw the desperation there, and it's like, I'm not saying where was this all along, but truly, where was this in the first half?
Yes, Africans. You can say, where was this all along? This is the first time I thought that is the best spell Jamaica ever played in the last 4 years. In the last entire 4 years, that's the best pattern of play for the last 4 years. Or maybe even further than that. I want to say that it might be the best Jamaica ever played in their entire history.
I'm not.
I'm gonna go out
I
and say that I think this
Yeah.
is the best I've ever seen Jamaica look in the second 45, because of the quality team that you're using and what we're seeing out of the players. Them, I would say that 45 minutes is the best Jamaica actually look. We know we can look way better. That is true, but that is the best they have ever looked in their entire time. Ever, no. I think we look better organized than the Schaefers. We looked better organized than the Schaefers, but the quality of the players them that we are seeing playing this way, this is the best Jamaica ever look in history. But I would say we looked more organized under different managers. But definitely what I've seen from these quality players, that is the best Jamaica ever looked. And I've seen 1998, 2006, 2014, 2055 million. I've seen all of that. And that's the best Jamaica ever look. Any time I've seen them play football with quality.
No, and that's the thing. But again, it comes back to the point where there were points where Antonio literally said, "Okay, I'll do it myself." He left his spot as the 9, tracked back all the way to be a fullback, and said, "Let's build this up properly." And to me, I'm like, if your 9 has to do that at some point, like, that's your come to Jesus moment. If your striker is that star for the ball, he says, "Put me at left back. I'll touch it there." Then, as a coach, that's your come to the altar moment. I'm sorry.
But you have to remember the history of Mikel Antonio. When Mikel Antonio came here, he was under the coach under Tapa Whitmore.
Yeah.
Tapa Whitmore brought him on late against El Salvador, and he was at left back. He was at left back with Taxi, and he ran from there to score a goal. And against United States, he was on the left-hand side again, and then run to the closer to the end of the midfield third and struck one of the best goals ever scored for Jamaica as well. So this is what Mikel Antonio does, because he realized that he has to do more for Jamaica national team in order to get to the main position. So the guy is doing a good job, and I really respect him. Because I think that he leaves it all out there when he's on the pitch. But I never wanted to change the argument back to Jamaica directly, because I know that you wanted to close off this segment so we can go flip it over,
No, but it's a conversation about all of Concacaf, so there's going to be carryover and spillover, so that's fine. So, guys, we asked you earlier, rate the performance. Yeah, go on. We'll talk. We'll get to Marlon's point in a second.
Man. Go ahead, and we can talk about Marlon after, because he's saying the same thing as me.
So, Jason has your top 6 performing Concacaf teams: USA, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Costa Rica, and Jamaica. That's not bad. Martin
But
Baker
but but
has
all I'm saying, they don't give Jamaica credit for that game to slip them back into Panama, over Panama until Panama plays. You understand me? Because I think that would have been fair, because at least you see 2 spells from them. But
no,
if they
that's
still
fair.
put them at 6, no problem. I have no problem. I'm just asking if they don't see that and maybe make an adjustment.
No, it's fair. It's fair. Martin Baker has Panama 1, Costa Rica 2. So probably Panama. I think Panama looked good against Uruguay. They were unlucky, and really Darwin was doing his Darwin things. No evolution for him. USA 3, Canada 4, Mexico 5, and Jamaica 6. Mexico hasn't been disappointing, but they haven't been bad, but they've been definitely disappointing, I'd say. Right? You give credit to the CRC to pull a draw. I agree. Irie Vibes has USA, Canada, Costa Rica, Panama, Mexico, Jamaica.
Oh my
We're
God.
seeing the Mexico's catching up. Yeah. All right. Lee Young saying Jamaica over Panama right now. Plus, we beat them the last time we played. We're talking about performances in the tournament here, how they played, not what their ranking is overall. But I think let's see how Panama looks like against the U.S. because I have a feeling that the U.S. will struggle to get a 1-0 win against
A
them
1-0
because
win.
it's
Okay,
Panama.
well, if they struggle and play very well in that game, definitely Panama will rise. Not even just they will they will go above Jamaica, but also challenge, go above Costa Rica as well, and maybe challenge for other spots, because the American team looked like once they are better than you, they are making sure you have to raise your game in order to get something, which I like that, because they never gave Bolivia the sniff that they wanted. You know, Bolivia had the good energy, but they never gave them the sniff. What you made of that game? Because you knew that they were slightly better, but Bolivia had good energy as well. So what you made of that game?
No, I think the U.S., and this is my criticism of Berhalter, if Berhalter doesn't respect, and I'll say it that way, if he doesn't think the team poses a threat, he's going to want to play a certain style, and which is his style. Regardless if the team is at the level or isn't, he will do that. When he places a team that's better than him, and it's known that they're better than him, aka the Brazil game, then when he actually puts down a strategy to perform well, he does well. I think he is too attached to his system. He's again, any coach is going to be confident and arrogant in their system, but I think his system is very found. It's not a difficult thing to break down, and I think in a tournament like this, the only team that he could play with it that he shouldn't just run through is Bolivia. I think Panama knows how the US plays. So Panama's going to go and defend them and make it difficult for them. I think they'll struggle to get there. I think the US looked good against Bolivia because Bolivia wasn't going to pose a threat. So they said, we're going to play this way, and that's how we're going to score. They could have
Okay,
had
okay.
more. I think there was a lot of chances that Balogun could have passed off and maybe to get more goals. Balo looked like my friend, my mate Nelson was like, Balogun played as if he was trying to get a move this summer. So he was trying to bag all the goals. It was like, I see it. But that's the
But
problem. So when the US now jump in.
but then if you had said that, because USA knew that Bolivia's maybe attack to them is not so much, they went out and attacked more. So how can you give them more points? And then Mexico played Jamaica, and Mexico pretty much dominated Jamaica in the first 15 minutes, and pretty much was the better team for all of the 90 minutes, bar the second 45 to 12 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes in the second half. And Jamaica is a more livelier team than Bolivia in your belief. So why you never gave Mexico more credit for that win and put them over United States? Just asking, because it's
No,
you said
that's
that.
fair. That's fair. Just because there's a degree where I look at the Mexico side and I'm not saying they're not talented. Let's be very clear. But they don't have the ability right now to put teams away. And this has been a problem. They are in Canada. We were joking because we were getting good performances but no wins. We were the kings of moral victories, right? But no wins until Peru. Mexico is right now, they are the kings of build up and no finish. right?
All right.
They are a team. This current crop of them are build up and no substance at the end. There's no finish.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so Jamaica weathered that. We can all agree that they played well enough, but they didn't play well in that first half. Second half, they weathered that, safe and offsides. They're up in this game, and they probably escape with a point or three. I think Mexico ultimately still scores in that game, but Mexico is a team of is like we've seen this version of Mexico over the last year and change, where they have everything but a finish. And so at some point, you need to put the ball away. And the U.S. was able to do that. The difference, like the U.S.'s players came. Pulisic came up, said, okay, get on my back. Goal. First 10 minutes. Gets a goal. We're there. Balogun finally puts one away in transition. Good for him. Mexico's scoring prowess doesn't exist in this generation for me. I know some people like Jimenez.
Jimenez is a good baller, but
He's a good baller, but
time,
at some point,
you
I'm
have to
gonna
get
say it
time
this
to
way,
fix
JD.
in Concacaf,
I'm gonna say this way because I know people understand. Santi Jimenez is the Suriname of strikers, right? There's a
Oh
lot
my
of talk
God.
about him. There's a lot of hype. At some point, he has to score. Yes, I know he scored the goal at the Gold Cup. Good for him.
Oh my
But
God.
he's had opportunities here where I need more. If you're going to put him in the conversation saying he's one of the best strikers in this region,
The
look,
Suriname in general, because you can't use the Suriname from the last window because they've been scoring in the last two damn windows. So
in
are you talking
general,
Suriname in general? Okay, thank you very much.
in
Because
general, in
you
general,
like the true shade and Suriname and Nigeria, they like
I
digs
don't.
and
JD, I don't throw that much shade on Suriname. But the Suriname example is I think it's prevalent because it's a side that there's always talk about. Look at what they're doing. Look at what they're bringing in. At some point, results have to matter. He has the one
yes,
goal
that is
in the Gold
facts.
Cup final. We can't take that away from him. He had numerous opportunities where he's one-on-one via the keeper, and he's not putting away. If you are the next hope, if that's what you're going to give them, give me 60% of Raul Jimenez, bring him back in. Bring me 60% of him because at least that'll be on the fray. At
That
least give
is
me
fair.
that.
Our Henry Martin, I thought that Henry Martin should just be there. Someone should be there to guide him over the line. He shouldn't be the starting striker because of what he does in Europe. Someone should be there to guide him over the line. But as it relates, I could have argued that point, but I chose not to argue it. I just called out Africans to say that he's showing his shades on specific teams at times. That's why I'm saying, because the story of quality players coming in, I thought that Suriname got their results for the players that they had the last time. This time, it's a different expectation. It's even higher. So if they don't reach that level, they're going to be called out. The one thing about me, I have one thing. I am not going to say that, but because it's African show, but I have something. I
No, but I
can't
think
talk that word on African show, They might ban African channel.
Yo, the chat is going crazy with everything, I think. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's not my second country. It has nothing to do
We
with
talked
that.
so much and we're going
Oh,
through it, but yes. But yes, there's talk about Pinnock. There's talk about the captains. There's talk about that. I think so. I think for that's where I would rank them. I know we're still talking rankings there. Mikel took charge, and I do agree with this. Sorry, my space plays of the game, but he couldn't do it all. I agree, but that speaks more so to the breakdown of the squad, right? And that's where I say, if you're a Jamaican fan, if you look at that second half against Ecuador, like the decisiveness, the quickness that they were moving the ball. If you're a fan, I'm asking, coach, look, where was this whole tournament or this entire time? Where was this? Because they were moving with purpose.
What you are impressed with, the main players them that brings the vibes to the team, according to the coach, wasn't on the field. So now you have to wonder if the vibes them for the actual location ain't on the field, or it's going to work out. So I think Jamaica is at the point that I really wanted them to be for over the years, Africans, which is pick the damn best players, regardless of vibes or where they were born. And clearly, this coach has been, he's at this point now, we realize that he's not going to get any results because the team can't carry passengers for so long anymore. Because the competition is stepping up. They have only 2 more matches in the next round of second phase of World Cup qualifiers. So, and those are going to be some of the better teams. No, at least one, the Guatemala, and then after that they have to face all of the other teams in Suriname, Curacao, Puerto Rico, Costa Rica, all of those teams. So there's no time for any passenger anymore. And I think that yesterday he learned that lesson because he brought on quality players that is performing. Because I'm going to ask you a few questions and let me see how you will answer it. And how your coach and country does these things, so others can get more educated on the matter. All right. So the coach said that the coach and his assistant kept saying that their players come. It doesn't matter if they don't get any game for their team. So the player can be no farm and they still pick him because he's going to turn up for Jamaica. You think that that's the proper way? And people inside the chat, let me know if you think that is a proper way, because John Wall had said it before, then him came and said it yesterday about Shamar Nicholson. So should players be picked based off form? Because I heard you touch on it throughout the stream, and then I will continue after.
I think it's who are the players matters, right? I think every coach has a core of players that they want to keep. And so like it'll either be their starters or like at least a solid 7 to 9 players. They're the key things that everything's built around. Right? So for example, looking at Canada, Rich Del Rey just came back from injury, just played a couple games for TFC. Now, from a Canadian men's national team standpoint, you'd say, well, he's a member of the national team. So when he's healthy, you call him up. It doesn't matter. When he's healthy, because he's going to be playing, you call him up. Now, there's a reality with him where I'd say, but he's coming off of an injury. I don't think you should call him up because could you find a better fullback that can come in? Now, when I had mentioned earlier, does Canada have the depth at fullback? No, we don't.
Thank you. That's a different argument. Yes,
it is a different argument, but you have to bring it up. Yeah. So for me, I would personally always say call form over core. I think it doesn't hurt a player, and I've said this because I always say this on the women's side. It doesn't hurt if a player takes a window off because there's talent and there's players pushing them. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't need all my players to have 100 caps at age 25. What I need my players coming in to be playing and pushing each other to go to a higher level. So for me, I am a form over everything, but the system matters, right? The system that the coach is playing matters. For Canada, I would say fullbacks, we don't have that depth. So yeah, Richie's going to get called up. When Sam is healthy, Sam's going to get called up, whether he is playing there, until they are able to find a fullback that is playing at a high enough level that they feel can fit the system that they bring in. So that's where that kind of falls in. Okay. Right? So to build off of that, let's look at strikers. They called in Tani Oluwasi. He's playing at Minnesota for MLS. He's had a good stretch of form. Now, I am conflicted with this. Did I think that they needed to call him up? Personally, I wish Canada does more of this. Find a player who's in form, bring him into the camp, have him play. I saw that there's a discourse that's going on that's saying, well, you have to get him because if not, Nigeria was going to take him. I'm sorry, guys. Nigeria was not looking for him. Nigeria has more strikers than some teams have quality players. Okay,
that's facts.
So when I saw that, I was like, "You're really saying? Are you that afraid that like Nigeria's not going? First of all, Nigeria's not going to the MLS and being like, ooh, there's some talent in America. No, Nigerians go to Europe. They will go to the Swiss league first before they even think. They'll go to the Norwegian. They'll go to Gibraltar and be like, "Yo, we'll take the Nigerian brother who left our academy and is playing there." Before they go to this, it's not as big there for a team like Nigeria. So did you have to call him up? No. Now ultimately, Ugbo took time off, so that's his thing. The players that you were hoping for, Ahoylet got hurt, so you don't bring him in. And the only other 9 that you'd be looking at, Promise David is getting his move done. The only other high prospect player you'd be saying, maybe we can get him, are all with the U20s right now. Or you're someone in the corner saying, when Daniel Jebison gets his form and starts to play for Sheffield, then you call him up. But other than that, Tanny fits it as he's a player who has been playing well. He deserves the call up. I don't agree with the discourse saying that you had to get him because Nigeria's coming to get him. They weren't. But he fits he's playing well. You have depth at the 9. Theo Bear hasn't played in years, but he's there. You have David, you have Laren, you have Oluwasi. So that's the type of play you bring him in, have them play, see what the level is. You're testing them out. And if he's worthy of it, you bring them back. Right? So for me, form matters because if Tanny's not in that form, there's no way he's near this team.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And that is a problem. I think that you have too much players in the national team that can just make the team based off not just form. I think, as what you said, you use the combination of we don't have so much people in the position. Well, we started at CDM. I told you that we have 4 other players that actually plays the role and plays it better than the next person that we're putting in there. So not just we get in the player, we are having a player putting in the national team and also getting preferential treatment over the others that are performing at a better rate. I think that cannot be accepted, and maybe that's where the problem lies, because when you said you were impressed with the situation is when all of those guys are off. Oh, ironic, you can go at a higher speed when you're actually using players that are actually playing football. That it makes perfect sense, right? Because you're using players that are playing football, so that they are going to look more fitter, stronger, and going at a higher speed, and that's what we're seeing here. Yeah. So that's what's up with Jamaica, to be honest.
And look, at the end of the day, JD, every coach is gonna have their favorites, and there's no issue,
that is
right?
true. That is true.
And so, I'm not gonna be mad at that overall, but I think there's a reality where you look at it and you say, okay, what's worth more? Trying this player out, because then you always get into the unending equation, right? You'll have a player who's playing well, and you'll say, well, they don't have experience. Well, they're not going to get experience unless you give them experience. So how long does the player have to be informed before you call them in? But then you'll say, well, this other player, like this happens with the Canadian women a lot, right? They'll say, okay, like Marielle Lidu is in Portugal, right? She has a good year. She's been playing well. She's bagged a bunch of goals. But then people will say, well, she doesn't have experience. Well, she doesn't get play because you have other players who, you have other players who are coming back. They're back from injury. Cool. They get to play. Well, at some point, you have to sacrifice one of the two. Either you have to experiment and say, okay, we're going to start this player and see how they react to the situation, or they don't. And that's the thing. Now, iRevive says this, and this is where I think Laren kind of falls in this category where it's, you can say maybe this player always performs for country, and that's fine. But look at Kyle Laren. Kyle Laren is
sorry to cut you, but what iRevive said, he always scores, but scoring goals doesn't always translate in winning, because maybe you can be a part of the problem if you're just there to tap a ball in the back of the net, because sometimes the setup will actually get lopsided because you're not fit enough. And ironic, it's the fitness of the player people talking about. He's walking on the field out of position, and that's why your midfield comes under pressure and your defense comes under pressure as well. So we cannot just use simple things. He scores goals, so he should get on the field. Pep Guardiola not picking if you just score goals. Believe me. And ironic, he's the most dominant football coach, because you have to offer what he wants, not just scoring goals. because Cephas can run down the entire wing Africans and then tap it give you, and you are in the box waiting already. That doesn't mean they do anything. If Michael Antonio could have gotten in that position, he would have scored a goal just the same. But because he has to be running, playing left back, as what you just said, because he's not doing his job. So sometimes I think people try to use that narrative a lot more because they want to look for an excuse rather than actually look for the solution for the thing. And that's my take still. Go ahead on the topic.
No, that's fair. And I would say if they're not in form, you need a coach who's willing to have a shorter leash with the players, right? And this is where I say, like, let's look at Canada, right? Tejan and Liam Miller aren't playing the best. And the thing I said after the first game is, look, I don't think you can start Schaffelberg because that energy is you need that in the second half to keep that going. If he's not, if you start him and then a team nullifies that, your bench options aren't there. But what I said to what I'd like to see Marsh do when he did was make the decisions faster. Against Argentina, he came in the third in the 60th minute, 75th minute, and then he was dynamic. Against Peru, he came in at halftime for Liam Miller. And that's where it's you can be part of the core, but if you aren't in form, the coach has to be willing to say, this isn't working. Let's inject something sooner. That's like the thing with they made changes at halftime, which was great. The changes helped them look better. There's no doubt. You saw that, you identified, you did that. Good job. Right now, don't make that mistake again. You can go back to that same starting at 11 if you feel that that's your best bet, but know that come halftime, you're weathering the storm. So if you can get to halftime only down now by one, or maybe up by one, change it up. Just because they're playing well in a half, there's a limit to this. It's not going to work. That's what Marsh is doing with Miller and Buchanan. So the wingers aren't doing well. I have Schaffelberg. He'll be direct. He'll go through. Cool. I'm going to bring him in at halftime now. Instead of waiting until the 75th minute, changes the dynamic of the game. Fresh legs, direct legs, gets your transition going, and it works. So I think if you're that coach, you can always bring in your core players, but if they aren't in that form, there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, let me give these legs a chance and see what it is. This is a great opportunity for a lot of CONCACAF teams. You get to play Common Bowl teams. You've got 3 free friendlies scheduled for you in a matter of 2 weeks, with bonus if you make it out of the group stage. So I'm not saying experiment with everything, but you have the opportunity to see what these players can do at this level, because coming up afterwards, you have World Cup qualifiers, you have Nations League. So attack that. See what your bench can do. That's what I'd love to see from, say, like a Jamaica or any of the teams that get eliminated here. See what those young players you threw at the end of the bench can do in this type of environment, so that opens the door for you now in that next window to see what's coming up next.
Okay, and that is where I have a pushback, because that's if you have something good going on. I think Jamaica has always complained, especially this coach, that he never had enough time with the team. So would you take that opportunity to try empty out the bench, or would you try your best to get more out of a team, to know more out of a team? I think you have to go with the more out of a team, because this is like a free extra game friendly for you. You understand me? So you can get prepared, because you couldn't pay for this game. Obviously, JFF has no money, so you couldn't pay for this game.
That's fair. My counter to that would be, what does he not already know about this group?
Well, Africans, that's what he's telling you. So you need to go and ask him. You need to go and find him and ask him.
I'm not trying to be an international reporter. I just want to be a YouTuber. I'm joking. But all joking aside, like, if he's gonna, yes, this is the best opportunity for him to have his group together, have them go through the systems. But at this point, if this is the coach's squad, what else do you need to know? You've had them for Gold Cups, you've had them for Nations League, you had them for teams dealing before. So if you don't know me by now, you ain't never gonna know me.
That's where the standard comes. And Africans, that's where the standards comes. That is the biggest problem. I think in Jamaica, he gets a little bit too long to figure things out. Look at you guys already telling me that what Marsh doing and putting him on the clock, and he just barely played some friendly games. These are the first professional games he's playing. But this man have 2 years. And people still saying that he's trying to fix the midfield, no, the defense, and then he's going to fix the midfield in the next 2 years. And then we will try to connect the forward in the next 2 years. So 6 years, Africans. Is that okay for you?
JD, as someone who has said for a year, you need a CDM. I don't know what the people who've been saying this for 6 years who've been saying we need a CDM. So if my grocery list hasn't changed in 6 years, at some point I need to ask the question, who is buying my groceries? Who is buying my groceries? And I leave DJ Giggs's comment here because if this is your grocery list and this is there, if you are buying your groceries, I don't know how you are surviving. If someone else is buying your groceries, at some point you need to change that person because it's been 2 years. They've brought in good young players. They are performing well. They perform for the country. They play for the country. No one's going to deny that. But at some point, if we can all look from a distance and say, hey, look, Damian Lowe in the midfield is a good patch job, right? It's not even like it's taping your bumper after you like sideswipe the tree, and it's not even duct tape or anything. It's just that clear tape you get from the dollar store. You've taped it on, and it's kind of holding, but everyone can see it's slowing the car down from there. If everyone can see that, but either the person, your mechanic, doesn't say, "Nah, you're fine," or you as a driver say, "No, you're fine." One of those two things needs to change. As a driver, you need to change and fix your car, or you need to go to a new mechanic, right? So
Yeah.
back to the point, if DJ Giggs is going to suggest if the coach isn't picking his players, then coach needs to leave, or the people picking the players need to educate. Like, it's one of the two things. I'll boil it down that simply. It's one of those two things. Because for me, at least, if that's how I see what the problem is, and no one's resolving it, we're trying different things. I'll give them credit. They're trying different things. But the thing that we saw them try right now, to me, from says was, okay, you're holding the car together with hanger wire. It needs a mechanic. And you're saying, no. I'm going to drive the next 100 kilometers. I can do it. I don't know how you got to be able to drive, but okay. But then that's when people say, well, he's a dentist. He's not a coach. Relax, people. I think right now, for where they are, ultimately, a lot of Jamaican conversation today, which is fine. But I think
but
the overall thing
thought
is
you have swing into like predictions and stuff because you have not really given me exactly what you're looking at. Let me know if you feel Canada coming out. Because Marlon already told me Canada not going nowhere, which I already refuted that.
Yeah, that's true. But let's leave that other conversation. Let's go to predictions, and then let's go to the next rounds of second games. You have USA, Panama, Uruguay, Bolivia. I have Uruguay winning. Bolivia's not at home, so they don't have 5,000 meters or feet over sea level advantage.
Yes, I think that is going to be a clear game. By how much goals you have? You have how much goals?
Uruguay, I'm just counting the letters in Uruguay. 6 Bolivia, 1, 2, 3. Blah, blah. So there's Uruguay. 7 letters in Bolivia, 6 in Uruguay. I'm sorry, 7 in Uruguay. So 7 each. So I'm gonna go with 4 goals to 0 because 3.5 is closer to 4 than to 3. So I'm gonna go 4-0 for Uruguay over Paraguay. I mean over Bolivia, and then the USA, Panama.
USA, Panama.
I'm going.
I don't know. Go ahead. Go ahead, because my
I'm going to go with a draw. A draw. 1-1 draw.
Oh my God.
2-2 draw.
I'm
2-2 draw.
2-2 draw. I'm taking a
Yeah.
1-1 draw. I'm taking a 1-1 draw. For some reason, I start to have a feeling that Panama might have the mojo this time and can scrape a draw, make the game as complex as possible, and get something in the end. That's why I'm look. That's what I'm looking at.
Again, to what we said earlier, does Berhalter walk into this game thinking, I am the better side, so I don't need to adjust to this team? If he does, Panama draws that. If he takes Panama seriously and adjusts to try to take out the midfield or tries to take away the thing, I think it's a 2-0 victory easy. But he walks into this game and doesn't adjust and doesn't prepare, Panama's leaving this game with a draw. They're leaving the game with a point. That
All right,
there's
so
no way around it.
So, guys, let me know in the comment section what say you as it relates to USA Panama. All right, Rami said USA gonna come out running, so he doesn't believe that Panama will get it. I do believe that it is definitely possible, and I am looking for something like that to happen. I actually believe that Panama will try and up the ante. They never played the World Cup qualifiers good enough. They started off good with against Uruguay. If they can put the same performance in, I think it could be good enough to get a draw. That's where I'm gonna stop, to be honest. All right.
I think so too. So we'll see where that goes. If anyone else wants to throw in, guys, put your predictions there. Then last game, Group D, which coming up on on Friday. Colombia, Costa Rica, Paraguay, Brazil. Colombia, Costa Rica. See, if you're gonna give Costa Rica,
Colombia, Costa Rica.
I think
Ooh.
Colombia should beat Costa Rica, but let's have a
Yes.
conversation about and the problem I want to have a conversation about Brazil, but it's gonna sound as if I'm talking down what Costa Rica did. Costa Rica drew them, and they did a good job with the draw. I do look at the reffing in that game again, very terrible. I don't think they let them play as much, but not Colombia, Costa Rica did their job and they got the draw. I still
Ooh.
rate Colombia as I think right now they're playing better than Brazil. Brazil has the most talent, there's no doubt. I think they're playing better than Brazil, so I think they get this done. I think a similar type of a game, 2-1 win for Colombia over Costa Rica.
I love Costa Rica. You guys know that I like the way they set up their team and everything, and the style that they try to adapt, and the young players that they do give the chance. Everything is well with Costa Rica, but I think even if they're gonna frustrate Colombia, Colombia will get at least 4 big chances in this game. Brazil had 20 odd shots, but they never had the chance. They never figured out to penetrate them. I think that Colombia can do that. Colombia, I like Colombia a little bit better than Brazil. To be honest, Africans, we liked them before coming in, so I do believe that they are gonna have the upper hand to win that game, and I actually think that they're gonna win a game. I think Costa Rica will still improve, looks nice as well, because remember, this is not about them beating all of these big teams. It's to look nice and improve. And I think when they come out, they're gonna come out of this tournament having some respect and maybe some contracts to new clubs.
That's true. I think that's a conversation. I mean, speaking of Colombia, James Rodriguez is the ultimate. I only perform for my national team. So that's the standard of put him in a Colombia shirt. This man's there. Put him at club. Where is this man? But that's
Oh my
James right
God.
there. But yeah, I think they get it done there. And then Paraguay, Brazil. I think that's
Paraguay,
on
Brazil.
paper it should be Brazil, but
And it's going to be Brazil.
I
I
can't.
am not seeing any upset.
I'm going draw. I'm going draw. I'm going 2-2 draw.
Don't look at the close result between Paraguay and Colombia. I think Brazil will turn up in that one and smoke Paraguay. You're gonna see.
It's either a 2-2 draw or it's like 5-0, JD. There's no in between. The Brazil side's either gonna draw or they're gonna say, hey, Samba, let's go. So I think it's one of the two. I think that's where it goes. And I do agree.
Today is the day for Africans. Africans is up,
It's the
up with
day.
it
This
today.
is a
Just giving
day,
it
JD.
Suriname, Nigeria.
Hey, no music
Um,
videos yet, though. No music videos yet.
oh my God. he
Oh man,
started
no,
the
but I
stream on fire. He started the stream on fire, you know. Yes, man said Jamaica controversy. Then he bun out Suriname, bun out Nigeria, bun out James Rodriguez. He's giving it to Mexico. Oh my God.
hey,
This the
they
Africans is
will know who I am, JD. They will know who I am. Um, oh man, Colombia does look good though. I do agree with you, DJ Gigs. They do look good. Um, I can confirm nor deny. I've never partied with the man, Remises, but we'll
well,
see.
I know one person wants to party with the man, you know. So you can just give them the
Well,
party.
yeah. Enjoy the off season. Enjoy the off season. I say
Hmm.
that, man. All right, and then let's go up to groups. Go back up
Yeah.
to the last game. So Group A, you have Canada, Chile, and then Argentina, Peru. Canada at 3.
Hmm.
Canada needs a draw or a win, more than likely to move on. A win does it for sure.
Hmm.
Or they just need Argentina to, yeah, if they can't lose the game, basically. Because if Chile
Yeah, you
beats them,
can't
they're
lose.
ahead of them
Yeah.
with points. It's draw or
Hmm.
win,
Hmm.
and you're in. How do you see those two going through?
As what I've said, as what I've said, Chile is experienced, but experienced a little bit too long, so they are almost classed as old. You understand me? And I think the pressing
Seasoned.
system will seasoned. That's the right word, seasoned. Yes. I they have quality. I think this game will play out like a Belgium Canada game, but they are going to score more in this game. So I'm saying Canada actually wins this one and go through. Good entertaining game against Chile. Don't sit back, don't give them any time on the ball, press them to lie to death and get the win.
Mm.
Canada, where I'm rooting for you because all of the people them give you no chance. I know you're on 3 points. I want to brag. All right. So Canada, go out there, do the business. And I'm going with Canada. Big up
All
yourself,
right.
Ferran.
Yes, indeed. All right. So I think for me also, I I'm giving the edge to Canada, but I'm not going to go in a close scoring game. I'm going to go with a highly stressful goals after goals game. So I'm going to go Canada 3, Chile 2.
Ooh, my
Um, because I want stress in my life, JD, for no reason. I just want stress. I need more gray hairs in the little hair I have left. So um I'm gonna go Canada beating Chile 3-2. And then I'm gonna go with Argentina over Peru in the other game. Probably another 2-0 win for
two,
Argentina over
three,
Peru.
one.
But
Yes, agreed,
I know
agreed.
2-1 for Argentina over Peru. 2-1 for Argentina over Peru. So that's Group
Okay, okay.
A. And so there I have. We both have Canada advancing. So not a
Yes,
problem.
yes.
Group
And deep in
B,
the
you
group,
have
I Revives as Canada, and I have to give I Revives credit because I Revive was
mm,
actually saying that from day one when everyone on the Jamaica stream was saying Canada not getting no point, and I'm saying no, man. I think you
mm,
guys are disrespecting Canada. Canada is a good team, and they have a coach that plays a system that I wanted to see in our region a long time ago.
mm.
All right,
It's
so
all
which one you
excited. It's
have?
all excited. And then
Uruguay,
who's there?
United States. Okay, so we
For
all
this
have
group,
Uruguay. Who we are going
no,
through in
let's
that
do
one?
Group B. Group B.
Okay, okay, okay.
Mexico is. I mean, no, Venezuela's gonna go through. I think for sure. They are already through, and then it's either Mexico or Ecuador, and they're playing each other. I I think Mexico gets grouped.
Mexico, Ecuador. That is the one, right? Okay. We skipped past United States and gone down to me. Yeah, okay.
No, Group B is
Okay, yeah,
Mexico,
it was
Ecuador.
before. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
I actually
Because
think that
Ecuador
Mexico.
gets Valencia back,
Mm-hmm.
so they have a 9 for a change. You have Caicedo behind him. Mexico will create again. Right now, Mexico are the kings of the buildup, but until they are able to score, it's just like their name and their reputation for me will always carry weight. They always have a chance. Every time I've said that they're about to vacate their throne, they beat Panama 3-0. It's like, no, we're still one of the top teams here. Don't doubt us. But right now, they feel like they're a team of build-up, but no goals yet. So until they can score consistently, I can't trust it. And that's why I'm going with Ecuador going through. I think Valencia is going to score, right? Caicedo is going to run through that midfield. John Yeboah is going to be John Yeboah. Like, wherever he is, he'll just be him. But I think ultimately, I think Valencia gets it done. So I think Ecuador beats Mexico 2-1.
Ooh. You know,
And
to be
then,
honest, I think those are the two best teams in a group. Mexico and Ecuador, based on when I saw all four teams played, they're the two best teams. You know, so it's sad that one of them need to go home. You know.
yeah, it's sad that Valencia got a
Ooh.
red in the first game, and it's sadder that it's sadder that Mexico that Santi Jimenez can't put away a 1v1 and they want to and they can't score penalties. It's so sad. I weep. I weep for them.
I think I'm looking at that. I'm looking at a draw. So Mexico going out on goal difference. So a draw I'm looking at 1-1. Think it's going to be a very good game. Both of these teams are very good, and they are the best teams in the group. And I'm very sad that Venezuela and so much points when they are not the best teams. You know, yeah, the red card really mashed up this tournament. This group, I should say, it really mashed up this tournament.
No, it's true. It's true though. We said they're the easiest team, and they are sitting at the mountaintop saying, "Hello down there. How are you?"
No,
That's tournament football.
no
That's
one
tournament
said
football, though.
Africans. No one looked at this group and said Venezuela was the easiest team, because everyone said
No,
that Venezuela can beat Jamaica. Jamaica was always the easiest team for everyone else.
JD, what you were trying, what you missed to say was that not people from a certain area in an island state area, maybe the Caribbean, said that Venezuela was the easiest team, but no one else did.
Oh no! Oh, okay. Oh, he's not talking me or anyone on the platforms. Okay, but obviously, no, Jamaica. They're always going to. We are playing Mexico Africans, and we beat Mexico 0 times in a million years. 0 times in a million years, and we heard that we're gonna give Mexico 4 love. So you never expected anything better.
I remember
But
that.
I think majority of us, like us, we were saying that Jamaica was the weakest team, and even the coach was actually saying that. And I literally saw a man send me a clip of a man pretty much almost want to cry that the coach saying that we are weakest. I can't believe what I'm watching. So people in our country don't want anybody to talk the truth. You know, you need to just take it on the chin and say you are the best. We're gonna beat them. We have to top the group, or else nothing else. Fight. I just fire myself.
JD, I've gone hype enough. I've been humbled enough times to know to say a draw is all I can get from this group. A draw is all I'll ask. But no, I think Ecuador beats Mexico. Venezuela are already through. It just comes down to who they play.
And you think Jamaica will bust down Venezuela, Africans, or you don't think so?
If they go how we think they will go, it would mean then that I think Canada would play. Yeah, Canada would play Venezuela, and then Argentina would play Ecuador. And as an opponent, there are. I'm not going to fall into that trap and say, "Oh, I'd rather play Ecuador or Venezuela versus Ecuador." But there are tougher teams that we could have played. But how the draw sets up, that would be of the teams you could play in the round in the quarterfinals. I wouldn't complain. It doesn't mean that I think they would win, but there are worse teams that they could play in the next round. So I take my chances there versus another side. because we expect that was either going to be Ecuador or Mexico, maybe some people thought. So if you're saying Canada finishes second and then they play Venezuela, Venezuela is a quality side, let's not pretend, but would I rather play Venezuela or Mexico or Ecuador?
I think
Yeah,
Venezuela. I think Canada can take Venezuela. I think so. Out of
mhm.
all of them, I'm
I
not
think
going to say Canada is the favorites, but they can take them.
mhm. No,
Yeah.
that's true. It's true. So I'm going there. And then, do you think Jamaica can pull a draw out of Venezuela?
I think so. I think so, but I'm going to go with Venezuela winning for now. We have to give them respect. They beat both of the teams them that are actually better than Jamaica and better than them as
Mhm,
well. So we have to give them
mhm,
credit. If they keep on beating everybody that we said is better, they on the field they clearly look better. But for some reason, Venezuela
mhm,
keep on beating them. So I think they are
mhm.
gonna just beat us too as well. Then I'm hoping that we can get something from the game, but they might just beat us just the same. Yeah.
That's fair. Patrick says, I think Canada are in desperate need of a number 10.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think they are in desperate need. And I think if you look at the last couple of years, I've said this, so this is an echo for things. I think all their recent duels that they've lost out on have been tens. Now, you can say we dodged a bullet on it, but Stefan Mitrovic in Serbia, 10 that we missed out on. Marcelo Flores, 10 we missed out on, right? Um, Lucas Diaz, who we haven't missed out on him, but I mean, he was in the Sporting Academy for so long. Now he's playing in the CPL on loan. I think that's the thing. If you're looking for 10s to come, this is where I think right now your best form of a 10 that you could have would be maybe a Jonathan David based off of the form you have. I think your best 10 would actually be Junior Hoylett as a 10 role. But I think David as a 10 and then a speedier 9 with him so that he can drop into the midfield more and then play with those players so that instead of a 4-4-2, it can look more of like a 4-2-3-1, but it's really a 4-2-2-2 with the two midfielders, the holdings, the two wingers, and then that's really more of a 4-2-2-1-1. That would work better for how they are. In terms of players coming up, probably a Jesse Costa who's at Wolfsburg could develop. Maybe if you haven't given up on a Lucas Diaz, maybe he goes and develops. Or you just play Chushwanya over Ali Ahmed and you push Ismail Kone into the 10 role. I think that's what you would do within the role that it's built. So I think ultimately that's how you solve the 10 role for Canada. But I am all ears for suggestions and options. There we go. Chris Corney saying USA should get the better of Panama ultimately. Yes. Everyone was happy we got Venezuela. Yes.
Well,
Everyone said Jamaica was
man
the
says they're
weakest.
gonna
Yes.
beat Venezuela.
Yes. That is true. That is true. I am not rubbing it in. I'm a kind person, Ram says that. I'm a kind man. I'm a kind man, right? I think if they look back, yeah, Jamaica might say they had draws available for those two games, and maybe at 2 points, they are clearly alive, and you see what it is. So we go from there, and then Canada should go the furthest out of the Concacaf teams.
Ooh.
Uh well, let's look at the other teams. I'll get back. I'll put that
Yeah,
back up,
maybe
and
based on the brackets. Maybe based on brackets, that's what they're saying.
yeah, I don't see Canada beating Chile, at least not with what I've seen so far. I think that's a fair statement to have. I think Canada hasn't looked its best yet, but I think Chile will give them an opportunity. Chile might be the most equal game they play in terms of a game where the ball is flowing. Right? I think this might be their best look at a football game they've had. Peru took away their space, and maybe Chile decides they're going to try to take away Canada's space, and then it becomes they look more rattled, frazzled there. But I think Chile gives them the best opportunity just to play, and I think it could go either way. I have Canada winning that game 3-2, but I could easily see Chile pulling that out and winning that game at the same score. So I don't think that's necessarily here or there. Yes. Agree with this that Mr. Dre, Mexico had the game in their hands and fumbled it. The correct term is they had the game at their feet. and dribbled it wide. So that's what Mexico did. That's literally what happened.
Lord.
I'm just stating facts. I'm stating facts. I revive saying Canada should go the furthest out of the CONCACAF teams. Well, let's see. You have USA in Group C. After today, you have USA, Uruguay, Bolivia, Panama. If we assume, well, let's go for today. Panama, Canada, we have those two. We have the USA winning. When we have that draw, and then Uruguay being that, which would mean you'd have Uruguay at 6, the US at 4, Panama at 1. And then Panama would have to beat Bolivia, and then the United States would have to beat Uruguay, which one of those teams is not likely to happen. I don't see the US beating Uruguay. I just don't see it happening. I do see Darwin Núñez missing 5 great chances, but I don't see them losing to the US. So I think ultimately they beat them. I think actually that game goes to a draw, because if Panama draws the US and then beats Bolivia, we run into the risk of having goal difference battle and FIFA fair play points and all that stuff. I don't think people want that. But I think if the US makes it out, then they would play either Brazil or Colombia based off of how we think it's going, because Brazil and Colombia play each other at the end and they go through. So the US or Canada could make it through. I think if it goes how we've predicted it, I think Canada has the easier route to the semis. Right? It's the Euro bracket, JD. It's England and the middle teams are on one side, and then Spain, Germany, France, Belgium are on the other side. And then England's going to sing about things coming home, and then home all the time, and how it is. So I think the bracket works out better for them.
Yes, exactly. Just that's how you put it. England. I saw it the other day. Belgium, France, everyone over one side, and then England over the next side, just looking over there. And they ain't coming out, Africans. They're not making the finals. Just watch you.
No. Top 4 is good for me. I want to play for 3rd place. If we make the finals, JD, we awaken the kings of the CONCACAF fans in Canada. And as God. You know, everyone loves them. Everyone loves them, JD.
Oh my God, I can't bother with Josh them and all the 64 streams and King Crowns and it, and a tactical manager losing his brain cells.
If they make the finals, they are not stopping. And then there'll be me in the corner saying, guys, it's only been 6 games. Like relax. We haven't proven anything. And then people will tell me that I'm being a hater. So I think we'll see how that goes. We will definitely see how that goes. Agreed with this. Yes, I realize it's Copa America, not CONCACAF. Yeah. There's only one team in CONMEBOL that you would say you are definitely better than, and that was Bolivia.
Yes.
Everyone else was a better side. Right? Everyone else was a bigger side, and I think that's where it goes. Mikel Diaz says, yes, just needs a draw. Why would they go into attacking mode? 3 goals is a lot in a Copa game. Agreed, when they just need to defend and draw. Because I think defensively, Canada, I mean, their best, when we say their goalie is their best player, it signifies one of 2 things. He's been called on a lot to save, and he has saved, which means somewhere along the defensive line, you have breakdowns. I think Canada is going to be able to. I think Canada is waiting for a game. I'm waiting for Canada to have that game where they're able to score and just really unleash a lot of goals. But I don't trust them defend the style of play that they play, to press like they do. If a team is patient enough, and I think Chile will be patient enough to pass around, you can bypass that. Then in the midfield, you already have the numerical advantage. You're probably playing 3-2 midfield or that, and then now you're breaking in. And as much as Bombito has looked good, Bombito sometimes gets caught looking, and he uses his recovery speed. To cover up for the mistakes. So I think Canada's defense isn't as good, but I think they'll be able to score a lot of goals moving from there. So I think that's where I go for the 3-2 there. I'm just saying, JD, I think if we went out to play beautiful football against Mexico and Ecuador, we would have got outplayed badly.
Yeah, agreed.
It's true. USA matches started. That's true. They played good in the second half of Ecuador because it was all or nothing. I do agree. But now you need to have that all or nothing all the time. because you can't
Nothing,
just go there because
coming home for
yeah,
England.
there's eggs.
No, it's just my phone blinging off. Because you let me you actually let me go 2 hours. Damn. So I
I
actually
know.
oh wow, nice. Wow.
I agree,
People
Mr. Dre. Nothing is coming home. But guys, I think
people
I'm gonna
please
let
hit the
JD get
like
some sleep.
no, it's not about the sleep. As I reach 12 o'clock, I got like 24 messages because it's my birthday. 1-0 United States already?
Hey,
Hold
yeah.
on, hold on. What? What? United States score already? Oh my God. Africans.
Oh boy.
Oh Lord.
Well, there goes that 2-2. Did we say 2-2? We said
I,
22-0. We said
no,
22-0. Yes.
I answered 1-0. I answered 1-0. Oh my God.
Oh, no.
McKinney scores.
Berhalter
Oh
says
God.
we're playing his system. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Okay, all right. McKinney scores. Okay. Yes,
Oh,
man.
good for
Massive respect.
McKinney.
Thanks for the birthday wishes. But we're gonna be back tomorrow because we had told people. But obviously, Africans. He works on this series, so we can't let him down. We have to turn up when he says to turn up. You know why? Because I motivated him to turn up. So I can't not turn up. Because he's the one never turn up. So I
JD, I
have to
haven't
turn
had a
up to
win
show
to
him.
celebrate. I have to be
Oh my
consistent. I
God.
haven't had a win
We,
to
we,
celebrate. All joking aside, guys, it's been great. It's been great. We've
I think
appreciated it. The
it's a
U.S.
good
is
one.
scoring, so that's yeah. It's
Yes,
been a
I
good one.
did.
I love it. I love this one.
Well, good start for United States. Oh my God, it's not looking good. So, when are we going to return Africans? I am
Let's
not
come back on
49 years
Thursday.
old. Jesus. Next Thursday. Okay. Damn.
Yeah,
You
let's
might
come
not
back
be
next
happy by
Thursday.
then. I think
It's
that is a
okay.
little bit far.
JD, I had a win. I got a win. I'm happy. It's okay. All I wanted. I got a win and a goal, JD. That's all I can ask. And we scored the goal. It wasn't an
The
own
chicken
goal. Like,
VAR. The chicken VAR. Oh, what?
come on.
Excitement.
Give JD a gift. Football gods, give JD this gift.
This alone,
Hand him a win.
that right.
Thomas Christensen, it's JD's birthday.
Uh,
Give JD a win.
Drum Up TV, massive respect. Yeah, man. People, make sure tomorrow you turn up. We have the likes, we have the super chats because man's have to buy. I am not going KFC this year because people said I'm eating too unhealthy. All right, so I need to buy more oxtail. I need to buy more turkey. Yes, I have those things to go to the shop. So people know you have to donate on that one day. All right, I need a lot of super chats tomorrow for my stream. Okay, so drum up all of these. You know what? No, we're gonna finish this now, so you can't put super chats on it. Next one, you can put some super chats on it. Know yourself, yeah, man. Know yourself tomorrow. Make sure you check in and put the donation on it as well. Yes, so you guys have to make up my food. All right, no goal. God.
JD's getting his birthday gift. Come on, VAR. Come
No
on,
people,
VAR.
no people will clip it. No people will clip it and sell it to Peter and Tactical. Oh my God! I have not
JD wants his
celebrated
birthday
people.
gifts.
I never celebrated. I will need to get a gift card. Well, I will take a gift card as well. I don't know what am I going to do? What to do with gift cards?
It'll be a gift card to KFC that you can only use there. So
You can use it. Oh,
so
okay. So what? No, well, just donate it to my PayPal. Then I can go to the damn KFC. What kind of gift card they coming to give me? All gift cards work for Africans. Oh, it works.
well, it's a card that you can only. It's basically giving you specific money for a specific place. So
So
yeah, it'd be like me giving you money,
that's not
but you
going to
can
be
only
helpful to
spend
me.
it.
This brother is disrespectful. Giving me gift card. You can't give big man gift card. Man, keep a gift card there, man. I don't even know what is gift card. What is wrong with this brother, man? Oxtail is not healthy. Okay, well, it's better than KFC. That's that one thing I do know. All right. Yes. yes. So it's too bright and feasible. You put in gift card.
What's your take on
Tomorrow,
referees starting to talk on their decisions, Sin? I'd say sure.
it's good.
It's good. It gives clarity for the fans, which is important. because if you just go to a corner, draw a square in the air, and then point either in a direction or up to the sky, it tells us nothing. So I think it's good for the fan experience. What I'd like is if we can get the Euro VAR, if we can get that VAR in CONCACAF, that'd be great. I don't want to wait for 2 minutes to figure out stuff. I want the ref to go look and see, okay, after the VAR, it is determined that the player not only grabbed the ball with 2 hands, he ran for 2 minutes, and this was the obvious penalty for them. So we go from there. Know yourself is just not being a bad mind, telling it, would you want a coupon for KFC or the gift card? Who knows? But
I don't even know what they're talking about. These guys are saying a whole heap of word, and it's just letting me feel like know yourself, don't know himself. You know, he doesn't know himself.
well,
Africans, yeah.
JD, I'm gonna let you get some sleep before you get all the streams going.
Yes,
and we'll
respect, and I really enjoyed this one. Hopefully, we get some good results for next week. At least something to talk about, and not Leon Bailey or Craig Butler. Yes, I would be very happy if that's not the case. And England as well.
So
I
guys,
hope England gets knocked out. Yes, sorry.
Oh, Slovenia, Slovakia, whichever one it is, do the world this justice. Please give this to us. We beg you. But guys, we'll be back here on Thursday next week, hopefully talking about how England is crying and hopefully how Canada is maybe playing in the semifinal. I don't know. They need to be Chile on Saturday and hopefully do that. But guys, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you. And until next time, we'll just say goodbye for now.